Kyrie, the Kingmaker here. I am recording this in the car, so if you hear background noise, that's why. I am on my way I have a total body stretch appointment, and I felt a declaration of inspiration coming upon me. So, here we go. So, in the last, probably 3, 4, 5 days or so, I've had multiple conversations with clients, as well as even with friends, and in some circumstances with family. And it all seems to be centered around the same topic, even though the circumstances of each situation vastly differ. So, I recorded a video probably maybe 3-4 months ago, might have even been longer than that, for Instagram, where I quoted, and I don't know who's originally said this, but the quote was, "What other people think of you is none of your business." And I have to say that in this moment, that is more true for me now than it was when I heard it years ago for the first time. And it's like I wanted to believe it, but I was still in operating at the time where what people said about me, to me, in reference to me, mattered. So what you really have to understand is that what people think about you, especially when they go so far as to call people up and talk about you and you have people on the internet trolling, and there's every variation of that circumstance. Most of what people have to say about you has less to do with you and more to do with them. The reason someone really, really doesn't like you has to do with potentially how they have themselves been triggered in any given circumstance. There's a lot of different reasons, but the fact that someone would feel compelled, especially to want to say something hurtful or mean, and I've had people go as far as to sabotage me, which I am no longer an energetic match for, let me say, but it happened to me multiple times under multiple circumstances, and that wasn't fun. But that had less to do with me as a person and more to do with them as a person and them dealing with their own shit. But people don't like to deal with their own shit. They like to project their shit onto you and make you the focal point of why they don't feel good about them, which is, the more you think about it, really absurd, right? So Will Smith said this, and I couldn't have figured out a better way of explaining it, but he was talking about self-esteem, and he said that self-esteem has nothing to do with anybody else, which is so true. But it's such a fundamental thing in the way that we think about it. We usually attribute someone's self-esteem to what somebody has done or said to that person, instead of self-esteem is how you feel about you. So it has shit to do with anybody else in life. So I have adopted a personal philosophy that I live by, outside of being absolutely ruthless. I guess being a part of that philosophy is that I give zero fucks about what anybody thinks about me or says about me or feels about me, especially because I realize that what I am doing is, to quote Amanda Francis, is of high service. What I do changes people's lives. It is life altering. It may not be life altering to Joe Blow, but it's life altering to Sally Mae. Everybody isn't everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine, but that's anybody ever. Some of your most successful people on the planet aren't everybody's cup of tea. They still have their group of haters or people. But the fact that someone will go as far as to hate on another person, again, tells you more about the person who's doing the hating than it does on the person that's being hated upon, if that makes sense. So, my message to you today is, what other people think of you is none of your fucking business. When you make it your business, then you now start taking on the vibration of the foolishness of the person who is making it a point to, try to disrupt your positive, amazing frequencies. And oh my God, this is like the perfect example. I say this to, or used to say it to my children all the time, especially when they were in public school. Now they do virtual school, so it's kind of irrelevant. But I used to say bullies, like, there was bullies in all the schools. And the bullies weren't bullying, whatever child, even my son. My daughters never seemed to really have that situation, but, or any child, because there was something really wrong with the child that was being bullied. The bully was bullying them because the bully didn't feel good about themselves, and they wanted to share that misery with someone else. They wanted somebody else to feel as bad as they did about themselves so that they wouldn't be alone. Misery loves company. But I live in a world where so does joy and success and other awesome things. So keep that in mind the next time someone says something, hurtful about you, to you, calls up 15 people and tells them whatever. Realize that it's none of your fucking business. Until next time. The wonderful music on our podcast is brought to us by Jason Light. The song is The Root of Love on the Sacred Journey album, available on all platforms, Apple Music, Spotify. Go check it out.